Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout New Vegas, where today we're going to have a discussion video on two different perks that are generally considered some of the strongest perks in the game, and we're going to compare them as to which one is stronger, at least in my own opinion. So we're going to be comparing Cowboy and Grunt. Both of these are level 8 perks. Cowboy is in the base game, Grunt is in Honest Hearts, so that's the second DLC. But these both come in at level 8, and both these do very similar things, where they give you 25% more damage with a particular set of weapons. Cowboy requires 45 guns and 45 melee. You can get this perk once, and this one gives you 25% more damage whenever you're using revolvers, lever-action firearms, dynamite, knives, or hatchets. Now, this is a perk that fits very well into Fallout New Vegas. It fits the Western theme, and these weapons are actually pretty strong all throughout the game. So the weapons that this does affect are the 357 Magnum, the 44 Magnum, the 5.56 pistol, the BB gun, the brush gun, the Cowboy repeater, the hunting revolver, the lever action shotgun, the trail carbine. That's all of the guns, not counting the unique variants of any of those, or in the case of like the hunting revolver, the gunner's arsenal version of it, because that's also included in this. Then for explosives, you got dynamite, long fuse dynamite, fire bombs, time bombs. And then for melee, you've got the Bowie knife, the combat knife, the hatchet, the standard knife, throwing hatchets, throwing knives, tomahawks, and the war club. Now, going over those weapons, there's actually a lot of very powerful weapons at really any point in the game, which makes it so Cowboy is a very tempting early game option because getting to level 8 and getting these requirements is not going to be very difficult, and it does cover at least 3 different damage types, with that being guns, explosives, and melee. And for guns, you have a lot of really good ones there. Even in the early game, the 357 is pretty decent, the 44 is very strong. The Cowboy repeater and the lever action shotgun are all fantastic early to mid-game weapons, and giving them 25% more damage is very impactful. Late game, you also have some really good options here, like the hunting revolver / the ranger sequoia, as well as the brush gun, giving you massive amounts of damage, and they are just very solid weapons. The trail carbine is also pretty solid. Explosives, I would say, is where this one's kind of the weakest, because dynamite is good in the early game, at least if you get used to using it. It is very awkward to use, but once you get used to using it, dynamite can be very good because it's very abundant in the early game, and it does do pretty well against certain types of enemies. Fire bombs from Zion are pretty garbage. They're very difficult to use and just don't do that much. And time bombs are very difficult to use as well. You can make them a little bit easier by just dropping them on the ground and then shooting them once you get to a safe distance. That's probably easier than actually trying to use them to blow up things. But those ones I wouldn't say are some of the strongest, or the other way you could use time bombs is reverse pickpockets. That's another good way to use them. But I would say explosives get probably the least amount of value out of this perk compared to the other ones, where guns are very solid. Melee is also pretty solid because combat knives and Bowie knives are very, very good. The war club is also quite good. Even into the early game, the knife is an okay enough early game weapon. The rest of this may not matter, like tomahawks I don't find myself using very much, although they can be fun. Throwing knives and throwing hatchets are just very rare, so it's hard to stock up on them. And like the hatchet is very difficult to find too, because pretty much only the fiends carry it and only a couple of them carry it, so it's not really the most practical weapon. But in the early game, if you want to rush Chance's knife, then Cowboy is very, very good. So overall, Cowboy is a very solid perk. Now let's move over to Grunt, which has somewhat similar requirements, where it's also level 8. It requires 45 guns and it requires 20 explosives. This one gives you 25% more damage with 9mm and 45 auto pistols and submachine guns, service rifles, assault rifles, marksman carbines, light machine guns, frag grenades, grenade rifles, and launchers, as well as combat knives. So this one also covers a good slew of these weapons. So the weapons this one fully covers is, well, the 9mm and the 45 pistol, as well as its unique variants, the 9mm and 45 submachine guns, as well as at least the 9mm's unique variant. The 45 doesn't have one. The service rifle, as well as the survivalist rifle, the assault carbine, the marksman carbine and its unique variant, the light machine gun, the frag grenade, as well as the unique holy frag grenades, although there's not very many of those. The grenade rifle, as well as Thump Thump, but only Thump Thump. The other ones don't count towards this, weirdly enough. I'm not sure why. The grenade launcher, and then just regular old combat knives, as well as Chance's knife. So Grunt also covers quite a few weapons, not quite as many as Cowboy, although a lot of these weapons are very solid in the early, mid, and late game as well, where the 9mm pistol is a perfectly serviceable pistol at the very start, as well as the unique variant Maria is pretty good throughout the majority of the game. 9mm submachine guns are fantastic, as well as Vance's is for clearing up small enemies. especially things like Cazadors, it kills them really quick. 45 pistols, especially Joshua's pistol, is arguably one of the best pistols in the game. The 45 submachine gun does do the most amount of DPS out of any of the submachine guns, so that's nice. The Survivalist rifle is incredibly solid towards the late game, as well as the Service rifle is pretty decent in the early game. Assault Carbine is also pretty good. All-American is one of the best VATS weapons in the game, so you got that going for you. And the Light Machine Gun's pretty good in the late game, at least once you can actually start getting them, since they're a little bit more rare till like the Super Mutants start carrying them around at certain levels. For an explosives build, this one is arguably better than Cowboy, because frag grenades are going to be a lot more solid than dynamite is, just inherently, and the grenade rifle as well as Thump Thump is arguably one of the best explosive weapons in the game. So that definitely helps with that build. Melee, this one isn't as strong, but with this one covering combat knives and Cowboy also covering combat knives, if you wanted to rush Chance's knife early on, which you can do within the first couple minutes of the game, and then you can get these perks at level 8 and level 10, then you can stack 25% more damage from both of these perks onto Chance's knife, which is arguably one of the best melee weapons in the game. And there's nothing that says that you can't take both Grunt and Cowboy. I take them all the time on my builds, so they're very good, unless, of course, you're not using these type of weapons. If you're using energy weapons, don't take this, because it's not going to help you at all. Don't take either of them. And same thing goes with unarmed. If you're using unarmed exclusively, these don't help you at all. So with those two builds out of the way, probably don't take this. And that might be the best way to look at these perks. So for guns, I would say that arguably both of these are good. It just depends on what you like using. I feel like I might lean a little bit more towards Cowboy because of the weapons I enjoy using, like the Medicine Stick, the Ranger Sequoia. But on the other hand, the other weapons are also very solid. Vance's submachine gun, Light Shining in Darkness, All-American, Survivalist rifle, and the 45 submachine gun are weapons that I use pretty regularly too. And they're all pretty strong, so I would say guns, this could go one way or the other. It just depends on what you like using. And if you like using both, again, you can take both if you would like. One thing that I really wish Grunt did affect, though, was this machine and the battle rifle. I don't know why it doesn't, because these are all, like, military weapons, and the M1 would fit really well as a military weapon because it was used as a military rifle for so long. Sadly, it doesn't, and arguably that might make this machine maybe too strong. I'm not sure. It's already a very powerful weapon, but I don't know if it would make it any stronger than some of the other weapons that we already have on here, like the Survivalist rifle or like the Medicine Stick that are also affected by this. For explosives, I would say that Grunt definitely wins in this regard, because dynamite, time bombs, fire bombs just are not really that great into the late mid-game. Really only dynamite's good in the early game. The other ones are kind of awkward to be using. Whereas for Grunt, grenade rifles and like frag grenades are going to be super common and probably used a lot throughout an explosives build. Whenever I've used an explosive build, Thump Thump has pretty much been like my go-to weapon for the majority of fighting, because it's just very easy to get, it's very solid in terms of damage stats, it's very easy to get onto target as well, and it has a fast reload, so all of those really help. For melee, I would probably lean towards Cowboy being better though, because it has more weapons that it covers. Bloodnap is arguably one of the best melee weapons in the game. Chance's knife is, but that counts for both of them, so I guess that one would have to be excluded because it's equally good for that weapon. And then the War Club is also another very good melee weapon too. So this one I would say is more of a toss-up than any of the other perks comparisons that we've done, because both of these perks are really good. Both of them can work in conjunction. I take both of them all the time. I know a lot of other people take both of them all the time, and I would consider them both extremely good perks. They're both like some of the best perks in the game in terms of damage stats. The only time that these wouldn't be good is if you're going with energy weapons or unarmed. If you're going with either of those, or if you're going with a build that isn't counting any of these weapons, then yeah, it's not going to be as good. But if you are going with any of these weapons, or you find that you really enjoy these weapons, I don't think either of these perks are going to be very bad. Even if you're going with like a dedicated unarmed build or something like that, but you find that you really like the Ranger Sequoia just to carry it around in order to shoot stuff, Cowboy could be a really good option there, because you're not really missing out on much. And there is kind of a point in New Vegas where you've likely gotten all the core perks that you really want, so picking some of these other perks that are still very solid and might be fun to mess around with is still a pretty good option. Which one do you enjoy more? I would really love to hear that down in the comments below. If you had to pick one, which one do you think is better than the other one? And there's no real wrong answer here, because I think we can all agree that both of these perks are really, really good. Unless, again, they don't go for the weapons that you're using. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.